How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video. So I made a video a while back where I attempted to apply a Messi name set on a kid's Barcelona jersey, and I made two videos where I applied patches to several jerseys. So today I am going to be doing both things, applying a name set and some patches to this Manchester City jersey that you see behind me. This time around I am going to make it a little bit more of a tutorial, that way hopefully it answers all the questions that you all been asking me in my other videos. So hopefully this video will be more helpful and hopefully you'll have a better idea on how I apply these name sets and patches, that way you can do it yourself. Now, again, disclaimer, and I say this in all my videos, do it at your own risk. And if you end up messing up your jersey, it's not my fault. And you know what? I might even mess up my jersey, so, you know, take the information that I give you and do whatever you like with it. But again, it's at your own risk. So, like I said, we have this Manchester City jersey behind me, and I have Mr. John Stones name set right over here. And then we're also going to be applying Champions League patches to this jersey. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's hope that I don't mess it up so that you guys don't mess up yours either. Let's get to it. So if you've seen my videos before, you know that I use just a regular ironing board and a home iron to do these. So we'll be doing this tutorial using these items right here. So we're gonna do the name sets first. Normally when we're doing a name sets, it's probably best to put, not necessarily just lay the jersey on top of the iron board, but more so putting the board itself inside the shirt. That way it doesn't affect anything on the front of the jersey. Now, depending on the size of your iron board and how big the name set is, it may be a little bit complicated to do so, because you can see right here the iron board is only so wide, doesn't cover the whole jersey. So if you have like maybe like a double digit number, and maybe, or like a really long name, it may not work. But in this case, since it's just a really small last name and it's just one digit, it should be no issues here in getting this on here. So of course the important thing also is making sure that you have the right measurements on where these things go. I am kind of basing it off just pictures from when they wore this during a Champions League match, and kind of eyeballing it from there. But you can also utilize, I mean, if you can find like the actual Champions League measurements, then great, you're good to go. You might also be able to base it off like other leagues and the measurements and where they put their name sets. So whichever you want to do. But you know, also it's really important to make sure that you center it correctly when you're putting the jersey on the ironing board, making sure that it's correctly placed and nicely centered so that you don't have it a little bit offside to the right or a little offside to the left, or too high up, too high down, like I did with my Messi one, but we won't talk about that one. Another thing you can do as well is, before you even apply any kind of name set, is to go with the iron and just kind of flatten out the surface that you're going to be applying it to. That way there's no wrinkles get caught on the name set, because then it'll show on that name set as well, little wrinkles. So one of the questions that I got asked in one of my videos was, how hot or what temperature does the iron need to be on? And I have mine set all the way to the highest temperature, which on here is setting number 6, which is cotton. But yeah, pretty much just the highest temperature it can go, that's what you want to use. Another thing that's important to know is that you want to make sure you put like a towel or something above your jersey. You don't want to apply the iron directly on there. It could cause some damage to it, so make sure you put a towel. Some people have recommended using like a baking sheet when it comes to then applying the name set, but I will still just recommend just putting a towel over it instead. It just protects the jersey a little bit better. So I'm gonna go ahead now and flatten the surface. Cool. So let's go ahead and get the correct measurements for the name set, and then we're gonna go ahead and apply it. The scariest part about this whole thing is really trying to make sure it looks straight, because once it's on there, it's on there. I mean, you can still go back with the iron to heat it up and then peel it off, but then, you know, you can't put it back. You have to buy a whole new set. So definitely make sure you take your time to get the right measurements, make sure it looks straight. like I said, what I've been doing is I've been just kind of looking at how it looks on the players when they were playing with these jerseys and kind of eyeball it from there. Just because I wasn't able to find correct measurements for where they're supposed to go. But if you can find it, make sure you follow those measurements and you should be good to go. All right, it's placed. So let's go ahead and give this a go and get it on there. So now I'm gonna put the towel over the name set. Make sure you do that carefully so it doesn't like shift away from the position that it's on. So let's go ahead, place this towel over. I'm gonna just quickly peek and make sure it's still good. Yep, it's still good. All right, cool. Oh, I think I might have shifted it now. I'm an idiot. Oh, no, it's still good. All right, cool. All right, so now we're gonna put the iron on top. And just to make sure it doesn't really shift out of place, I'm gonna come from the top and then slowly just kind of drop it down and let it sit there for a little bit. You can apply some pressure down if you want also, just to really make sure the heat is on there. And then just kind of move it around with the same idea from top down. Again, the purpose of going up and then all the way down slowly is just to make sure that we're not shifting the name set. And then once pretty much most of the name set's kind of already stuck to the shirt, then we can go back and start moving it around and getting all edges of the name set. Do one more up here where the actual name is. All right, cool. Now I'm gonna just check on it and make sure it's good. And it's not fully stuck yet, so we're gonna do that again. All right, cool. So now I'm gonna go back again, top down. I'm gonna apply more pressure this time, that way it's actually in there. Do one up here for the name. All right, and now it should be on there. Yep, now it's pretty stuck on there. Cool. So now that it's stuck there, now we can safely just put the iron back on there and kind of just start moving it around slowly. Not anything crazy, but just to start really applying the heat all around the name set. And do this for as long as it's needed. But I would probably say for about 20 to 30 seconds. And remove the towel and check on the name set. Before you start doing any kind of peeling off, you want to make sure it cools down a little bit. But you don't want to let it cool down all the way, just to where like it's still kind of warm, like not fiery hot, but also not cold. This whole step with ironing the name set might take a few tries. Once it starts cooling down, you can kind of see if you can start peeling it off. But as you can see, sometimes when you try to peel it off, the name set will come off right with it too. If that happens, that means you gotta go back and reapply more heat. Sometimes if you pull off one edge, it'll come off, but if you pull out another edge, maybe that one will be a bit more stuck and you can peel it off that way. As long as you get one corner that's stuck to the jersey as you're peeling it off, just keep peeling it off from that angle, and then everything else will peel off with it too. But if all angles are peeling off, no matter which way you're looking at it, then you have to go back and reapply more heat. So that's what's happening with me right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back and put more heat on there. So let's get to that. Like I said, you can apply pressure on here if needed to get the heat really in there, since you're putting it on top of a towel. Alright, so we're gonna wait for it to cool down a bit. Alright, we're gonna try peeling it off now. And still, as you can see, it's still coming off with the name set, so we might have to try more heat. So again, be really patient with this, because this might happen after 4 tries, even maybe more. So again, just be really patient with it. Eventually you will find a corner that peels off and you'll be able to get the name set on there. But again, just be really patient. It's not like using a heat press when you make graphic shirts or when you use like an actual name set. This doesn't put out that much heat, which is why we have to go in several times and apply more heat to make sure it's really in there. So just patience. It will work, I promise. Once you start seeing a little bit of bubbles kind of showing through the name set, that's when you can kind of tell that it's starting to stick to the jersey. As you can see here, if I start peeling this one off, it's already starting to show right there. But I haven't really applied too much heat on the rest of the name set, so I'm not going to peel it off just yet. I'm going to apply a little bit more heat to the rest of it, then we'll go ahead and peel it off. So now we are peeling it off, and make sure you really take your time with the peeling. Don't just rip it off. Do it really slowly. And this one is starting to come off. So we're going to carefully place it back and redo the heat. Hopefully I didn't create any wrinkles in there like I did with the message name set. So let's go back to the drawing board and let's go ahead and reapply more heat. This is the one downside about the towel, is that you can't really see exactly where the heat's going, which is why it's important to make sure you really are spreading out the heat evenly. Alright, we got some nice bubbles going in here. Now I'm gonna reapply the heat on the lower side of the name set. And there we go. So we'll let it cool down for a quick little second and then we'll see if this will come off. Alright, so I ended up cutting a little piece right here just because for whatever reason everything here was stuck, but this corner right here, it just would not stay. So I cut this out just so then I can go back with this towel and just kind of flat iron it directly onto the jersey. And now it's pretty in there. So we're gonna go ahead and now attempt to peel the rest of it off. And like I said, this is why I need to make sure you have a lot of patience, because if you try to really just try to rush it too soon and peeling this off, it might end up ruining the jersey. Thankfully, I was able to save it, so it still looks pretty good. But we're gonna go ahead and keep trying. Hopefully, I won't have to do any loops around it so I can get the name set on there. But you know, it is what it is. We'll just keep working with it. I don't know if maybe because this is an older jersey, the name set's been sitting around for a while, that maybe that's why it's not sticking as good. I don't think that would have anything to do with it, but here we are. I'm gonna keep going. So let's go. Cool, I'm gonna let that cool off. And as I was applying this name set, I started to notice this was coming off right here at the top. So I don't really know what's going on with this name set. I've done name sets before, and this is the only one that's really giving me issue as far as sticking to the jersey. So I don't know what's going on with that. But we'll keep applying heat. This is probably gonna be one where I definitely cannot put it in the washer and dryer. Alright, cool. So it's cooled down and looks like it's this part here, or at least it's really in there. But I'm still really thrown off by like how a lot of it is just really not sticking. You can see here, it's just kind of coming right off. So I'm gonna, even though I said not to use this, I'm gonna ditch the towel and I will try to use a baking sheet. Only reason why I don't like the baking sheet is because sometimes it leaves like residue on the jersey, like a little shiny little material. It's not the most notable thing in the world, so it's not that big of a deal. But because it's a lot thinner, then maybe the heat can get to the name set a little bit better. So let's go ahead and give that a shot and see if it works. Uh, and this is why I always say do this at your own risk. As you can see, I'm really struggling with this one. So it's not an easy task, but we're gonna keep trying. And if it ends up getting messed up, it gets messed up. It's really not that big of a deal. So let's go ahead and go for it. The only good thing about the baking sheet is that you can actually see where the iron is, so you can have a better, you can pretty much see where you're applying the iron on the name set. So it's not like you're kind of with a towel, you're just kind of winging it like, oh, I hope that's the right spot. Here you can definitely see where it's going, so. And I don't know if you can tell in the video, but I'm already seeing a little bit of the iron marks that's leaving over here, but it is what it is. It's one of those things where like, it kind of just fades off over time anyway, so. But let's go ahead now and try to get this off. Alright, there's some success over in this corner as I'm slowly peeling it away. So I'll probably say the baking sheet, since it's way thinner, it was probably able to get the heat a little bit better on there, so peeling this off is a little bit easier, but yet it's still kind of coming off with this paper. This paper is really sticky, which in other name sets that I've done before, that was not the case. So this could be contributing to the reason why it's like not really sticking to the jersey and sticking more to the paper. But we're almost there now. Just gotta make sure, be careful with this corner here. And there it is. And, oh, look, I almost made a little crease, but I think it's fine. And boom, there it is. I'm gonna really stretch this out because some of it is still kind of loosely on there. So I'm gonna go back now with the iron and just do one more quick pass just to really make sure it's in there. Alright, ooh, it's hot. So we'll let this cool down and then we will try to get this one out. But that was quite the procedure, if you want to call it that, to get this name set on there. But it's on there now. It looks pretty, like it looks like it's really in there. So once I'm done with this, I'll do yet again one more pass in the entire thing just to get any doubt that it's not on there. So well, let's go ahead now and try to apply some heat to this and then get it out. Alright, so here we go. Now we're going to go ahead and try to get some more heat on the stones and then hopefully we can get this out. Alright, so that one is nice and bubbly. So we'll let it cool off a little bit and then we'll try to peel it off. It might be a situation where, because this is basically each is an individual letter that they're not attached to each other, unlike this one. See, this one, because it's all one big piece, you can kind of like just peel it slowly around. But this one, you might be able to get the S out, but then the T might still be stuck on there. So it might be a situation where I have to like cut it out so that I can then go letter by letter. But we'll see. We'll figure it out once we get there. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and try to peel the name off. And that one is still stuck to the paper. Let's try this air corner. Sometimes if you try to like peel it off with your finger, it might stick. Like I just did right now. So there you go. Oh, looks like the E is coming along with it as well. me go ahead and do letter by letter, if I can. So this E was definitely coming out. So let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this little portion out since it's already out and I don't have to deal with it anymore. So let me go ahead and just cut this one out, then hopefully I won't cut the E. Did just cut the E. So the S is out. We got one S. Now we have an E and an N and an O and a T and an S to go. So this bottom portion of the E is ready to come out. However, the top portion was not. But looks like the N is coming off as well, so that will give us a little room to get the rest of the E out. Although this second half of the N does not want to come out, so that's going to complicate things a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and just start making a quick little cut right here. See if maybe I can peel it off this way. Which so far it is working that way. Nope. Not anymore. So don't do what I just did. Not that I just ruined the jersey or anything like that, but now it's kind of stuck to the E right there. Oh, looks like I might have gotten it. Yep, I got it. Alright, cool. The E is out. So let me go ahead and cut this portion out. Alright, so like I said, most of this N here was coming off. So I'm gonna start from here. See, the problem with this specific name set, and I know I already said it before, but this paper thing is just way too sticky, and I feel like the name set is trying to stick to this more than it's trying to stick to the jersey, so it's like it's making it way more complicated, which is why I have to keep cutting it so that it won't stick to whatever's already on the jersey and try to peel it right off. And yeah, I'm gonna have to reapply more heat on the rest of this because it's not really coming out, so which is no big deal. And if anything, I'll be able to now reapply heat on the ones that are already on there. That way it's really in there. All right, so let's go back to the half of this N and try to get that one off. And ooh, yeah, now it's peeling off really nicely. But still gotta be very careful with it. Even when it looks like it's gonna peel off like nothing, still be very careful because there might be that one tiny little area where it's like more stuck to the paper than the jersey, and then you could accidentally rip it off. Not that that's happened to me, but I can only imagine that could happen. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out here now as well, because I hate how sticky it is. Ooh, I almost cut the O. I got lucky. Make sure you're careful when you're doing that as well. So let's see if this O will peel off. Yup, it's coming right off, and the O is gonna be a lot easier to peel off. Boom, there it is. We'll go ahead and cut this out as well. Cool. Out, although it didn't cut out entirely off the O, but whatever. T. Let's go for T. And boom, the T is going to be even easier because it's just a T. Just one line. And boom, and let's see if, well actually no, I'll cut this out too. The S is a little bit more complicated since it has those little curves. Alright, so now the last one here, S. Ooh, and that's coming off very nice. Oh, spoke too soon. I was gonna say it's coming off very nicely, but then there was that one little area, like I said. And cool, now it's out. And there you go, we did it. That was quite the process, but let's go ahead and apply heat on the entire name set just one more time, just to really make sure it's in there. Because as you saw, it was really hard for it to stick to the jersey. So I just really want to make sure there's enough heat on there to really make sure it sticks to the jersey. It definitely looks way more in there than it was when I first initially started it. So I feel very confident now that if I were to wash this, the name set won't get ruined. But definitely will not be putting this in the dryer. And honestly, you should not be putting any jerseys at all in the dryer. You should always just wash them with cold water in the washing machine and then just let it dry, air dry. Or if you can hand wash it, I mean, that's even better. But you're definitely fine putting it in the washing machine. Another recommendation I would do for washing your jerseys, flip it inside out if you have name sets and patches. Alright, and now, oh, I always forget that it's really hot when you take the iron off it. But yeah, there it is. Mr. John Stones, I did this for you. Congratulations, happy birthday, happy new year. Hope you win the league, even though it looks like you already are, but here we are. So I don't know how well you can see it on here, but you can kind of see like some kind of white marks around the jersey. It's really hard to see it on the camera, but you can kind of see it like right here. There's like some little like white tiny little marks on there. That's the result of what happens when you use a baking sheet on top of the iron. It kind of leaves those little marks on there, and that's the reason why at first I don't recommend using it. But if it comes out to a situation like I was in where you really need something really thin to get the heat on there, then you definitely by all means go for it. But just keep in mind that you'll have little marks like that left over from using a baking sheet. So if you're able to avoid it. But if not, just be ready that this will happen to your jersey. But it's really hard to notice. Like the camera can barely pick it up, so it's not going to look bad or anything like that. But I just wanted to point that out there. Alright, so now that that's done, now we can go ahead and get these patches on. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so we got our name set on already. Now the next step, of course, is to put on the patches. Now the patches, those stick onto jerseys way easier. We don't have to deal with no like peeling off or anything like that. It's literally all the glue is here. You stick it on the jersey, you iron it, and then boom, it's there. The hardest part of setting the patches on here is getting the right position on the shirt. So really what I try to do here is I try to just grab the sleeve and try to make it as center as possible. You can kind of see the center by the little seam kind of going down through here, also by the way it's kind of was folded. And also there's a little thing right down here normally. I mean, not every jersey will have them, but they'll have some kind of a seam where you can kind of tell where the center of that sleeve is. So that's probably going to be the hardest part of this whole process, is just really trying to get this jersey, or really try to get this sleeve to be centered properly. And then also, of course, just to make sure you have a nice little flat surface, you can always pass the iron through there. And then especially when it comes to Champions League patches, you also want to make sure you're placing it correctly, because it might look like it doesn't really matter which way it goes, but there is a way. There is a correct way and there is an incorrect way. So I would say if you're not sure, just look again, just go on Google and do like an image search of what position the patch should be in. And then it's going to be hard to tell again just because of the way everything is, but if you have a good eye, you should be able to tell. So as far as the positioning goes, as you can see all 5 corners of the stars over here, but then you have 2 where you cannot see the top, like the head of the star. So that's your indicator of how to be positioned. There should be this one down here should be at the bottom, whereas this one up here should be kind of towards like the upper left side. So when it comes to applying the patch, as far as the positioning goes, it doesn't go directly like that. It's more kind of angled. So basically the bottom star with no head should be kind of like at a 5 o'clock angle, whereas this one up here should be kind of more at a 9 o'clock angle. So when you're positioning your patch, that's kind of what you should be looking for. Almost picture like you're looking at a clock, and that should be 5 o'clock and that should be 10 o'clock right there. I don't know how well you can see that from here. Let me push this up a little more. So 10 o'clock, 5 o'clock. And then as far as the measurement goes, it should be about like 1.75 inches from the sleeve. I will probably say 1.75 inches from this seam right here, not so much the entire sleeve, so more like the seam down here. and then just make sure it's properly centered, and then put your towel on top and go ahead and apply it. So let me just spend a little more time doing that, centering it and positioning correctly, and then we'll get to it. So let's go ahead and get started. I guess a smart thing to mention as well is that the Champions League patch will go on the right sleeve and the Respect patch will go on the left sleeve. But let's go ahead and apply this patch now. Gently applying a towel over it so that it won't shift the patch. Go ahead and turn this more a little bit this way that we can see better. And same thing, you kind of want to go from the top down and then go ahead and apply that heat. And same idea, you want to kind of just hold it down for like about 20-30 seconds. And like I said, this one, since we don't have to deal with any kind of peeling or anything like that, once you apply it on there, it should already be on there and you're good to go. And I misaimed. So I got the bottom half right here. I didn't get the top part, so let's go ahead and try that again. See, this is what I'm saying. With the towel, you're kind of just eyeballing it. You don't really know where you're applying the heat. But let's go ahead and do that again. Alright, cool. That should have done it. Yep, and I can already tell. See? I can... It's really in there now, so... And that was very easy. Alright, so now that we got that on there, woohoo, let's go ahead and now move on to the other side, where we are going to now put the Respect patch. Cool. So now, once you got your sleeve all settled, again, if you want, you can put a towel over it and kind of just flatten the surface if you need to. I feel like mine is flat enough to where it doesn't really matter. As far as the measurement goes for this one, you're looking a bit more, an exact like 2 inches maybe. Okay, so actually the Respect patch kind of varies from teams as far as like the placement goes. So basically just looking at, you know, how they were during Champions League matches, I want to say it's about 2 inches. So we're just going to go with that and just go for it, because why not? At the end of the day, it's my jersey, and if I want to mess it up, I'll mess it up. So 2 inches is about there, which it looks pretty accurate when you look at other players and how they wore it on their jersey. So now we just gotta make sure it's properly centered. All right, so I'm gonna apply the towel and we're gonna go ahead and iron this on there. All right, so I just peeled this off, or not peeled this off, I just took the towel out, and as you can see, it's pretty in there. So that was way easier than the name set. So we're done. We got the patches, we got the name set, and now all we gotta do is just, I guess, let it dry, because the jersey, they kind of soak from all the moisture of the iron the many times we had to apply the heat on the name set. So cool, so let's go ahead and recap this whole process. So I'll see you in 2 seconds. And there it is. What a guy. So as you can see, it really took quite a bit of time to do it. Obviously this video is edited, so I kind of cut out the things that took a little too long or whatnot. But this whole process really took me about an hour and a half maybe. It was quite a long time. This was the first time I actually had an issue with a name set, like not really sticking properly to a jersey. So I think this might have just been a one-off situation where maybe I got somewhat of a defective name set. I don't know how it's possible, but we got it on there. It's stuck to the jersey now, so there you have it. Hopefully I answered some of the questions that you all had from the previous videos. But of course, if you have any more questions, you can always ask me down below, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. And I'll keep making more of these videos anyway. So the more questions you guys ask me or comments or whatever, I can then answer them in future videos. So keep them coming. It'll help me as well to do better like tutorials or instructions on how to do things. So keep those questions coming. But I hope you enjoyed that video. Hopefully you have a better idea on how this process works. And you got a good one, because you saw me struggle. So hopefully I was able to teach you ways around certain struggles, like how I had to cut a little like piece by piece when it came to the actual name of the name set and applying that. So yeah, The patches were the easiest part, and I'm sure you saw how easy that was with the previous videos. It's literally just make sure you put in the right spot, put the iron on there, good to go. But yeah, anyways, hope you all enjoyed that video. Keep those comments coming. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, especially if you're new around here, if you want to see more content like this. Make sure you share this with your friends, and I will catch you on the next video. Take care, everyone. And wish me luck because we have another snowfall coming tomorrow.